Hello everybody and welcome to this Holy Grail Games video. Today I'm here with Jamie.
Hi there.
Hey, and we are going to be talking about the Provinces expansion for Dominations Road to Civilization. Now in the comments section underneath this video you will find a link to the full playthrough that we did of the base game. Today we are going to be playing through one age with the Provinces expansion, just really to keep the video a little bit shorter and easier to watch. But we will be explaining all of the ins and outs of the expansion and how it works, what it brings to gameplay for those of you who are still maybe a bit on the fence about getting it, or those of you who already have it from back in the Kickstarter, thank you very much, and would like to have a sort of quick explanation of how it all works. So, Jamie, Provinces, what's it about?
Provinces. So basically, as we've always said with Dominations, we always tone down a little bit, shall we say, the conquest or combat side. As you all may already know, if you've already played the game or seen the previous videos, we don't have conquest in this game, we have influence. Which can be both military, political, financial, all that kind of thing.
Well, the idea of the, sorry to interrupt you, but the idea of the game being that it's drawn out over several millennia of a civilization. A war in itself in the history of a civilization really would barely even show up as a blip on the sheer scale of time that you're playing through here. So,
So basically, what Provinces is, it's we're concentrating on taking our civilizations from the caves of the original caves, all the way up to just after the medieval period, over a period of about 3,000 years, that kind of thing. But we've always, I won't say shirked combat, but reduced it for multiple reasons, which we've gone over in the past. Provinces kind of brings a little bit of that back, but not forcibly between players, because obviously in the two-player game, which we're about to show, I have my civilization, Georgina will have her civilization, and we'll be competing to see who is the best, for lack of a better description. However, it is perfectly logical that whilst our civilizations are doing their thing, there are other civilizations which are also growing around the area or the regions where we are. And that's kind of what Provinces brings to the table. It will bring new kind of like neutral factions. Every age there will be 2 new ones. And they are available to be conquered, basically. You can conquer them in order to bring them into the fold of your civilization. Make friends, depending on the civilization. Some have to be conquered, some can be made friends with, i.e. bought through resources, that kind of thing. And each civilization will come with a bonus when you conquer it, depending on the effects or the theme, shall we say, of that civilization. However, each civilization also comes with a downside. So if, for example, a civilization makes it through to the end of an age, it can have an effect, or rather, no, it's not that it can have an effect, it will have an effect. Whether that is good or bad, generally it's bad or neutral. Very rarely is it good. It depends on the civilization. But also those effects, even though they may affect everybody, it doesn't mean they're forcibly bad for you. They can be much worse for your opponents. So now you have the decision of, do I want to conquer these provinces? Do I want to leave it just to bother my adversary? Because if they don't conquer it and it's left, it will have an effect every turn. And in the first stage, these effects are... They can be pretty mean, but they're not back-breaking, but they can add up if they're not dealt with over the scale of a game. The third the third age civilizations, obviously the further on we get into the game, the civilizations that are revealed are much bigger and beefier because they've had time to develop just like you have. Their bonuses, their rewards, but their downsides as well are more powerful. So that's all the kind of thing you want to take into account. Obviously, we'll be introducing a new resource into the game, which is Conquest, which will be used to beat the Provinces' rebellion scores. We'll talk more about that later. We also have some extra setup stages, of course, when we get started in the game. So, there are 6 new mastery cards, all level 3, that all have something to do with Conquest. Whether they make it easier, whether they give you more rewards once you have conquered somewhere, all that kind of thing. They're all level 3, they're all very easy to get. They all come with 2 notices of the domain that they are included in. They also come with a Joker notice. But they also come with a Corruptio. Which is a dead end, which blocks off. You can never connect to it, not even with another Corruptio. So there's a little bit more, there's something to play around there. It can give you some good notices to connect to, but it does block off part of your skill tree, or your tree of civilization. So you have to be careful where you put it. But as per usual, there are 4 of each card, and these you very simply just put in along with all the other mastery cards into their little holders. Job done. You'll also notice that in the top right-hand corner of each card, there is a little symbol. So we have this compass symbol. You'll see this a lot in this expansion. It basically means that any element with that symbol is part of this expansion, which is very useful when you're trying to break things down and put everything back exactly into its... go on. There we go. Bit of there. Back into its relevant box. We also have a new role card.
We do.
So normally you would have the diplomat, but in this game, the diplomat is replaced by the spy, who allows you to look at rebellion cards once per age, which can be very useful, and you'll see why in a minute. So normally the diplomat can go back into the box, and we place the spy next to the score track along with all the other role cards, if you do the honours. Next we have these civilizations in question. So there are a deck of these, one for each age.
Yep.
We split them up into their relevant ages, we shuffle them, and we draw one per player.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Each card also has a number which is relevant to one of the tiles.
Yeah.
And
Also
very
with
simply,
the little symbol.
also with a very little symbol on the back, exactly. And then so we basically take both of those tiles, put them next to the cards, and they are ready to go. I'll explain how they work later on. Then we have two decks, one of Conquest, which we'll be using, and one of Rebellion, which the civilizations will be using.
Yeah.
And that is all the extra setup you need. You still have your monuments, you still have your tiles, you still have your cards, your objective cards, everything.
You have one extra player aid, sorry.
Yes, you do have a player aid indeed for the extra mastery cards.
Yep.
So they can just be added to your other player aids. In fact, I've taken yours, I already have one.
You give it back.
There we go. Apart from that, you have your campfire. There are also elements in the expansion, as some of you may know. The expansion of Dominations contain components that are compatible with the other expansions.
Yes.
So if you are using, for example, Silk Road, there is a special civilization for that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Which will always be stated on the card. Obviously,
Exactly.
we've made it so that all of the expansions are compatible with all of the others. I believe they are. All of the expansions.
There's always a little something. For
Yeah,
everything.
sure. So if you fancy the challenge of playing with several expansions at once, which I have done, but I've only played Hegemon and Dynasties together, and that's already a...
Yeah, that's already a good amount. Well, for example, in the Hegemon expansion, you had a tile for Dynasties.
Yeah.
Which meant that if you had the most characters or... you had new characters in Hegemon.
Yeah.
My bad. In this one, you actually have a Hegemon tile, which you can include with all the other tiles, and it's who has conquered the most provinces at the end of an age. That's another factor that can come into play. Anyway, so as per usual, we would be drawing our tiles. Setup continues as normal. There's nothing really... There's 7 for you.
So how much playtime would you say that this expansion adds to the overall playtime of the game?
So basically, there is a sort of pseudo new phase. So this adds a little bit of game time to the game, simply because we will be doing, even though the conquering a province takes place during your growth phase.
Yeah.
So instead of playing down one of our dominoes, we're going to try and conquer a province. And if we do place down their domino, once again, I'll get into that in a minute, it does require a little bit more manipulation. Plus, once again, we have brought conquest back into the game, but this really isn't something you want to mess up. Like, failing to conquer a province can be very expensive. So it can lose you a lot of resources and, or even worse, influence points for absolutely zero gain if you're not careful. But once again, expert Eurogame, that's what we wanted. So at your own risk and perils. And of course, you have to see this as other civilizations. They have their own powers and abilities. Don't take them lightly. So we have all of our tiles. I'm actually okay with mine. I have the Roman civilization card, so I'll be starting with that. I have a red camp.
Egyptian. So yeah, as usual, you want to be making sure that your starting hand of tiles is going to give you the kind of resources that you want, basically for, you know, what your objective card is.
Nothing changes in this respect due to another game. The only thing you do have to bear in mind is that, as I said, we do the conquest during the develop phase. And when you conquer a province, you get to put its tile down anywhere on the board. So these extra tiles, which are obviously from 2 to 4, they give you some more options other than what you have in your hand.
Sure.
So there is that possibility as well.
Point. Yeah.
So you might want, I need another red camp. What do I have? Oh, there's a red camp there. Maybe I should conquer them so I can also get their red camp. There's always that to take into effect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's also some sweet combos you can do with conquering different provinces and then doing your gain phase, all that kind of thing. Anyway, so once again, nothing really changes apart from that setup. We take our tiles, we're ready to go. I think we both have our campfire, we have our tokens, we're all set up on our scoreboard. Right. So, however, who is going first?
Well,
we are missing the initiative tokens, mind you.
We are missing the initiative tokens, but they are right here. Or are they?
she says. Oh, they disappeared.
It
happens. Anyway, just take a city token. We're only doing 1 round, so a city token will do. They've disappeared off. This happens sometimes. There we go. So we'll just draw one at random. Hup, and that will be me starting. And then Georgina will be second.
Okay.
Okay. So. I've got some red there. I've got some yellow. Oh, that's nice. That's pretty good, actually. I could do that. Let's do this then. So I'll start very simply with a double match.
Okay.
Okay.
Lovely.
So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I gained 3 in civilization and 3 in trade. So that is.
+1.
Sorry?
+1 for you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go. So that is what you normally do in a growth phase.
Yep.
You tile down, you gain your resources, done.
Yep.
However, how does it work when you want to go and conquer a province?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at the cards. We have a couple of different bits of information on the cards. We have the number, which corresponds to the tile, obviously. We have a quick name. Then we have their rebellion value. So they always have a fixed score plus a number of cards.
Yeah.
Some of them will also have a slash and then a value. Mm-hmm. Now, what this means is in order to conquer this province, you need to produce either that much conquest to beat or equal their rebellion score, or after the slash, pay that much resource. Not both, one or the other. So you can pay your way into it or beat your way into it. Depends. So each time we want, say if we wanted to conquer this province, you would say, I'm going to invade this province, basically. Sure. And then we'd reveal rebellion cards. Now, these have different values. Now, obviously, this is a very lucky draw.
That is very lucky.
They would be 2 plus 0 plus 2 cards, so 0 and 0. So they'd stay 2.
Yeah.
Very easy.
That is very lucky.
So, but these can go all the way up to 4. So it can get very tricky, especially seeing as later on in the game, some provinces can start with like 7 to 10 as a fixed value and then have 5 or 6 cards. So it can be very tricky.
Yes.
That's where those masteries that allow you to generate more conquest come into play. Okay. So now we know what its rebellion value is. How do we conquer it? Well, we use conquest cards. And very simply, at any time during your turn, you may pay 2 resources of any type in order to take 1 conquest card at random, which you keep in your hand. They subsist through ages, so you always keep them. Okay. And you can play them anytime you go to conquer a province. Okay. However, if you play it during your turn when you're not conquering a province, you can take that card and you keep it in your hand. If you initiate a conquest and then start buying cards, any cards you buy must be used for that conquest. Yes. Make sense? Yes. Cool. So, very simply, you would have your hand of cards. You have different numbers, once again, goes all the way up to 3 and 4. Yeah. And you play enough cards, as well as any static effects that you may have from your abilities, in order to beat their rebellion. Yeah. Now, you must keep spending resources, as long as you can, keep spending knowledge, drawing cards until you beat that score. Okay. You can't just go, oh, no, never mind, I'll back out, because that, however, is not really something that happens on a global level. You have initiated the aggression. Exactly, so you have to see it through. Sure. If you run out of knowledge, you then have to start spending influence point. At 1 influence for 1 conquest point. Very expensive. Okay, so it's in terms of knowledge, it's 1 point per card. Yes. Okay, and then influence is the same. Yeah. Yeah, 1 point of influence for a card is. All... No, 1 point of influence for 1 point. Ooh. Not 1 card, 1 point. Yeah. Okay. And it's 2 knowledge for 1 card. 2 knowledge for a card. Exactly. And 1. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it can be very punishing, which means that if the draw is bad, you can end up losing all of your influence points to this, especially early on the game. So you have to be careful. Yeah. About how you do this and not just go in empty-handed like a real war. Some would say going to real war without reserves probably be a bad idea. Does make sense. Anyway, so let's say that thankfully we conquered this province. Sorry. Okay. So if we conquer it, we take the top ability, which is the reward. Sure. Okay. So here we gain 3 victory points. And if you'd just like to read that text for me. So you may immediately gain a mastery card with a value of 3 that no other player possesses. So it's kind of like an inverse simulation, which we do at the end of the age, basically. That's fun. So that's what we do. And this one, for example, you gain 5 victory points, 3 resources, and you get a conquest card back. Okay. Or conquest card. You draw a new conquest card. You kind of refill your hand a little bit. However, that's what happens when we take it. We would then take that province's tile and put it anywhere on the board as per the normal rules. Yeah. They have their camps, they have their notices, you do your connections, you gain your resources, as per usual, nothing changes. Yeah. Okay? And then you move on with your turn. Sure. That's it. Okay. Nothing else changes. However, should a province remain unconquered at the end of an age, that's when things start to get funky. And that's what this second block of text is at the bottom.
Okay.
Now, once again, these can be good, these can be bad. It really does depend on the province. This one is pseudo good. As you read, its reward effect allows you to take a card of value, or sorry, mastery card level 3 that no other player possesses. However, if it makes it through to the second age, which can be a thing, you can take a value of 6. And if it makes it through to the third age, which is very rare, but it can happen, you take a value of 9.
Right.
So there is a kind of bluff thing, like, are you going to let your opponents, do you think you can let it slip through? Will they do it?
Yeah.
You know, if you think you're going to have the governor card and it slips through, you can put yourself first and then immediately try and conquer it and get a nice level 6 mastery for free, almost, well, for very little.
So all of the players get this effect?
No. So this effect is very particular to this card.
Right, okay.
The cards really do what they say on the tin.
Yeah.
A lot of them take effect at the end of the phase.
Yeah.
Sorry, at the end of the age.
Sure.
This one is rather particular. It just means that when we tick over to a new age, its reward increases.
Right, okay.
If we look at this one, however, each player...
I didn't realise that. So this is the reward that you get if you... right, okay. So
Exactly.
the longer you leave it, the more valuable it becomes
the one.
when you do eventually conquer it.
That's the one.
Right.
And this one here, as you can say, each player must reduce the level of one of their cities by 1.
So, yeah.
So this is one of these things which is punishing, but not forcibly for everybody. Because as you see, it says minimum level 1.
Yes.
So you can't destroy, you can't remove a city from the board.
No.
However, if somebody's building multi-level cities, 2s and 3s, that can be very annoying for them.
That's very
so do you go and conquer that province in order to get the resources?
Yeah.
But maybe maybe you want to get those resources and stop yourself from losing cities, or maybe you just want to leave it because it's not that interesting for you and you want to bother other people so they go spend their time and resources on it, and if they don't do it, they will get the penalty.
Sure. Okay.
Once again, these are age 1 cards. As you go through the game, you get age 2 cards, age 3 cards, and they get progressively more powerful and can be progressively more beneficial or punishing, depending on the effect.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
However, I'm obviously not going to conquer anything today because I had no resources, so that would be rather tricky. So I'm just going to do this match here. So that's my growth phase. I'll move on to my build phase. I'll spend, I'll spend 3 trade in order to build a city. If you would give me 1 influence point, please.
I will, you are.
And then I will spend 3 in order to, well, as this is an explanation video, we might as well start with it. I'm going to take conscription.
Okay.
Excuse me. Which is one of the... There we go, province's abilities, which basically allows me to add 3 to my conquest value whenever I try to conquer a province. If I upgrade it, it allows me to add 6. So if you're going to go on a conquest rampage, shall we say, very good ability. But once again, I bought that. I don't have a development ability. You know, I'm not building my engine, but conquering provinces in itself can be an engine.
Yeah.
Because once again, I mean, here you get a free mastery card. That's technically a free action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very rare in the game.
Yes,
so it has its advantages. Anyway, that will be the end of my turn. It's your turn.
All right. I am going to go ahead and... I didn't realise that I had that. But of course, they're not the right way around because that would be no fun.
Oh, yes. They never are.
They never are the right way around. Okay. In that case, I will stick to my original plan. I'm going to place this here.
Okay.
So that gives me 4 art. And then I also get 1 religion and
1 craftsmanship.
1 craftsmanship.
Perfect.
So it doesn't leave me with a ton of options for this turn, but that's okay. I will go ahead and, well, in terms of building, I can't build anything. So I'm going to go ahead and develop something. So I'm going to develop a art card level 3. Triumphal Arch is the provinces card that lets you, every time you conquer a province, you gain 2 victory points. So that's like a nice little sort of engine, as it were. But I think I'm actually going to go for, painting.
Okay then.
That's going to cost me 3. And that is the end of my turn.
Okay. So now we can go over to the next turn. Now, obviously, I would have loved to draw on those double zeros, but sadly, I didn't. That was a good example to make, though. So I don't really know what's under there. You have to be a minimum prepared because they can have a maximum value of 4.
Yeah.
So I know that this could potentially get up to 10, and I don't potentially want to lose everything. No. So it would be much more beneficial to me to at least make some preparations before going off to war. And at the same time, I know that you're not in a position to do either, so we're not exactly stressed to do this right now.
No, there's no pressure for the time being.
So, what I am going to do, I think, is I'm going to put this here. Boop.
Okay.
So, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. And then I'll have 1 and 2 in trade because my city will activate and I'll be up to 3 and we're all good.
Okay.
The construction phase, I am going to build a city on that red camp. I was looking at the monuments but can't build any of them just yet. So I will have another influence point, please. That will increase my level of storage. And then I'm going to spend 3 in commerce in order to, I think we are going to develop, So I am Roman, I have a lot of cities to build, so I'm actually going to build traders.
Okay.
Which is one of the skills, or rather it is a skill that allows me to reduce the cost of any cities I build by 1. Which will be rather helpful in the future.
Yes.
There we go, traders. But once again, choosing to do that, it's not exactly moving my engine forward, but we shall see. Anyway, on to you.
Okay. So at the start of my turn, I gain 1 art from painting, and I am going to go ahead and make the most of that little opportunity that you left me there. Okay. You're going to get stuff from this too.
I am. I'm going to get 1 for each because obviously they're my cities.
So I'm going to get 2 art. I'm going to get 3 government, and I'm going to get 1 craftsmanship from that, which suits me fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do my build phase. So I am going to build a city this time. I'm going to build an art city here. Okay. So that's going to cost me 3. And then for my next phase, for my next trick, I'm going to go ahead and get conscription as well because that's going to help me for the next part. And I will just take this one and put it here.
Okay. Once again, they do come with corruption, so you have to make a slight choice about where you put things.
Sure.
Also, they come with a white notice, which is great. It's a joker, so it can be attached to anything to make a notice of that color. However, seeing as it's a level 3 mastery, you generally tend to put it next to your campfire. You generally tend to buy it fairly early, so it all once again limits which side you can put it on depending on the card you take. Okay, so over to me. So going to put my tile down as per usual. We're still on red and yellow technically.
It's an interesting part of the game's theme as well, the corruptio being on these cards, because it does kind of, like for me, it kind of makes me think of how war would sort of limit the growth of a civilization in a certain direction or another. So.
I'm actually 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 from my city, so I can go up to 7. Then get 1 and 2 up to 3 there, and then 1 in green. Science. And then I'm going to spend. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 5. Going to go down to 2 in order to build the first level of the forum.
Okay.
Which is rather good for me. Now, where can I best utilise this? Probably going to be there. So that's going to get me 5 points.
Okay.
And then I immediately gain government knowledge equal to my current reserve limit. Well, that's useful because my current reserve limit is 10, so that gives me 10 knowledge. Job done. And also, I take the tile and I plop it down.
Okay.
So, with the forum, I gain 5 victory points for each government city within the locus. I have 1. There is only 1, so that's 5 points. And that is all she wrote for that. Then I can move on to my development phase. I have precious little in the way of industry currently, so I should probably work on that a little bit.
Don't forget to remove your resources to pay for.
Of course, but then I gain them back again as the effect. And then I am still going to do some red. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. I think I need orange and green, so that's good. I'm actually going to build schools. Okay. So schools is cool because each type of school is cool, kids. Don't forget it.
Cool. Stay in school, kids.
Every time I form a red notice, I gain 2 red resources. Okay. Okay. So, what I should have done before that is spend 2 in order to buy a conquest card. Okay. I can do that anytime during my turn. Okay. Then I put that down. I've created a red notice. Obviously, these are simultaneous effects, so I can decide in which order they happen. Okay, sure. So I would gain those 2 resources back.
That's interesting, yeah. Yep. Okay.
And that is the end of my turn. However, I'm going to spend 6. So I'm going to go down to 4 in order to draw 3 more conquest cards.
Okay.
That's not too bad. So maybe we'll go a warring in typical Roman style next turn. Okay, all done. Your turn.
Okay, so I start my turn off as usual by getting 1. I'm really tempted to have a go at that. I forgot to spend my points last time. I'm tempted to go for it. I have conscription now, so I already have 3 conquests.
Yes, you also have what? So we're at the beginning of the game. You only have 1 influence. If you were to fail, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Sure.
However, you'll only you have 2 in art and 2 in craftsmanship, I think.
Yes.
So you only have enough for 2 cards on a good draw.
I might be okay.
You might be okay. But you never know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
As a side note, that's what the spy is for. So obviously she won't come into play in the first stage, but as a roll power, before you declare a conquest, you may look at the top 5 cards.
Sure. Okay.
And then decide whether you go a conquering or not.
Yeah.
You can also use that information to bluff your opponents by going, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And it can actually be really good or vice versa. So there's that option too.
Okay. It's tempting. Well, let's have a go. So I'm tempted by this power.
Okay.
But interestingly, the resources on this tile also interest me.
That's
so
fair point.
it's a difficult one to go for.
I mean, this one gives you a new ability.
Sure.
And you've seen that I have cards to go.
Yeah,
so whichever
so
one you don't take, I will probably take.
Exactly. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to go for this one. We'll see how it goes.
Let's try
it. So, I already have a conquest of 3.
Yep. Okay.
So I immediately reveal the 2 cards.
Yep. That's the first thing that we do.
Drum roll.
Da-da-da. Oof, good start, good start. So we're up to 2 plus 3, 5.
Wunderbar.
And okay, so we're at 5.
That could have been worse.
You're already at 3.
Yeah.
So you can spend 2 resources in order to buy a card.
Okay.
Which you're going to have to do. You don't have a choice. Once you're committed, you're committed.
Yay!
Nice. Okay, so you have 3 from your conscription.
Yes.
And this gives you 3.
3.
Gives you 6. They had 5. That is equal or more, unless my math is very wrong. Therefore, you have this. You have the province.
Yay.
So first thing you do is apply the effect, and this is where the combo effect comes in, because that allows you to take a mastery card.
Yes.
So you can first of all choose whichever one you'd like to take.
So 3 victory points and the mastery card of my choice, which, although I most definitely should have prepared this, I did not. Let's see.
I mean, what the combo effect is, when I talk about that, is she's going to put down her land tile either way. So if, for example, she was to take an ability that increases her production, or gains her resources based on her production, or all that kind of thing, that would apply to that tile, and any other effects during this turn. So there's plenty you can do with that.
This is true. I'm gonna take Artisans.
Okay.
Which, although it's another Corruptio card, the power can be very useful because it removes 1 from the cost of the cost to develop a mastery card.
There we go.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that there.
Okay, so that's got down.
Yeah.
So that is your abilities. Now you would keep this card.
Yep.
Just for sake, so we know who has conquered what province.
Sure.
Additionally, as I said at the beginning of the video, for certain expansions, when you're mixing them with Hegemon, it's important to keep track of who has the most provinces.
Yeah.
There we go. So you will now place that tile down as your expansion phase. You don't have a choice. It must be that tile.
Yep, that's okay.
I'll put these would obviously be discarded away.
I'll go ahead and put this here.
Okay. Oh,
So,
nice.
3
That's
art,
pretty good.
3 science,
4
and
art. Because you have 1, 2, 3, and you activate your city.
Yes. Right, you are. And that's it, but that's already pretty good. Oh no, sorry, I'm 1 trade.
Okay.
Okay. So I am going to go ahead and it's kind of tempting actually. I might spend these 2 as an exchange. And bring myself up to the 1.
Well, bearing in mind you have to spend 2 of the
it's
same
the same
resource.
type. Okay, fair
Has to
enough.
be the
Sorry
same
about
resource.
that. I forgot that rule. So I will spend these 2 to bring my artisan craftsmanship even up to 3, and then I'm going to spend it. Spend it to build this.
Sweet. Okay.
So that brings my pesky limit up to the next level.
Which is useful.
That much. And now for my development.
Now, because you have artisans, you could still go over after an art mastery, because you have
I could.
-1 to the cost.
However, I think there might be a
Science card.
Might possibly be a science card that could well interest me here. There is. It could well help me out. Again, it's sages, maybe not. I've definitely got to develop something. It would be a shame not to.
This is true.
This is true. It's that kind of pressure that you feel like when. Okay, I'll go for sculpture.
That's always a good choice. So, whilst you're doing that, unless you had anything else you needed to declare, but I don't think so.
Nope.
Cool. So, moving on then. So I want. These tiles aren't perfect for me, but we will make do. We will make do. I do need a little bit of art. I would need a little bit of art. I'm going to do this match here.
Yep.
So I'm going to gain 1, 2, 3 in art, and 1, 2, 3 in trade. Up. Always good. In fact, why am I doing this? Sorry, I'm going to take that back. I did all of that preparation in order to conquer, and then you did it before me. I would have also taken that one at the same time, though. As a Roman objective card holder, I don't really like that effect. So that's not really... That is an effect that wouldn't be so good for me as... Oh, no, actually, you have to build cities as well.
Yeah, but I only have to build 2.
Yeah.
Or 2s, and you have a big... that's kind of why I left it, I have to admit.
True. Well, hey, let's do that then. So I'm going to go and conquer this province.
You do that.
Okay, so I have a base of 3.
Okay.
Let's reveal the rebellion card. So 2 cards. Oh, and fun. Okay, so 4 plus 2, 6. So luckily I have 2.
Cards.
So I have 3 plus 1 plus 2.
Lovely.
So that's 6. So that's fine. Once again, that's the effect of having cards in your hand. You can choose which ones you play, compared to the ones you just have to play them, whatever the value is. So these are discarded. Hoopla, there we go. And this province is mine. Okay. So obviously the camp is much more interesting for me.
So that's 5 victory points straight off the bat.
It is indeed, which is always good. I gain 3 in government, and I can take 1 conquest card, and then this now belongs to me, and then we avoid that pesky end of age effect. Yes. Plus these camps are much, much better, and I even get a double match there. Look at that bad boy. Ooh. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. That caps me out, but that's fine. 1, 2, 3. So construction-wise. No, there's only yellow and red on the table. That's not super interesting. I don't have anything I could do with the monuments at the moment. No. So what we'll do is I can go for a level 3 government card though, level 9 government card, which could be interesting. No, I need to go for 6s first, as I don't have any religion or that. Okay. Let's go for a theocracy, which is a level 6 and basically reduces the cost of building cities even more for me. So before I do that, however, first things first, I am actually going to spend 2, drop this down, build 1 here. Okay. So that's construction phase. That's 1 more influence, please. And then I will grab my theocracy, which is going to go here. Yep. Boop. Actually, should I? Religion, hey? No, that's fine. So I gain 3 victory points because it's level 6, if you please. And because I've made a red notice, so I would lose, 6 points, but I gain 2 for making that red notice. And that will be the end of my turn. It's your turn.
Nicely done. Okay.
Excuse me.
I don't have the resource points that I need, which is a shame.
It does happen.
It does happen. Just trying to find somewhere that would make a good match for me. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get it, but that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and pop my tile. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do that, which is more advantageous for you. Okay. I'm going to put it there. So you get 1 trade, but I get 4.
You do? That's pretty good.
I automatically get 1 art at the start of my turn because of this, and then I get 1 additional art and 1 trade.
Sounds good.
So that's not too shabby. Right. So for my next trick, I will
build something.
I will build.
I assume anyway. You've got Well, 6 in craftsmanship for the next level of the forum,
Yeah.
5 in science
Yeah.
for the first level of the university. However,
Yeah.
there is no science city on the board, so that's not going to be a thing anyway.
Nope, this is true. I might go ahead and spend these 2 trade that I'm not currently using to go up 1 in art.
Which means with your reduction, you can go for a level 6.
That's true. Just seeing if there's anything I can do in terms of... I could do it, I suppose.
You can still build. You can build. There's no science, but there is craftsmanship.
There is
you
craftsmanship,
can build on.
That's true. Just trying to see if there's any way I can kind of wiggle my way into the forum.
Well, you could spend
I don't have enough points
2 science and 2 art, but that's all you'll be doing. You get 9 victory points, but you then free up the next level of the forum for me, which is quite nice. Quite nice.
Yeah.
Not especially useful to me.
No.
The power, for anybody that didn't catch that, was your limit in government is set to 20 automatically.
Sure.
So you don't have to build a big city. I am going to build a big city anyway, possibly for government. So it's not ultra useful for me. That's probably more practical for you, to be honest, especially at the beginning of the game.
So I will just build that city. That gives me my 1 point of influence. Cool. And then for my develop phase, I'm going to go ahead and develop music.
Okay.
Because the power of music is...
Magical.
It costs you less to develop monuments.
Oh, sounds like a monument strategy then. Intriguing.
So there we go. So I get 3 victory points for that. Sure. And also I get 2 of the art that I just spent back.
Of course. So you're down 6, up 2.
Yeah.
Sweet. On a double match as well. Lovely.
Very nice.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so my last turn for this age. Obviously, I have some conquest left. There are no more provinces left on the table. That's fine. They will keep till next age. And then I'm down to these, which aren't great. I do need to start thinking about how I'm going to end the age in terms of resources. So that is something I do need to bear in mind. Having some extra art wouldn't be a terrible thing. I am, even though the match isn't great, let's go here. Best of a bad situation. So 1, 2, 3 in art, and 1, 2, 3 in trade.
Okay.
Then construction. I am actually going to, despite the fact that it will burn through all of my resources, you could pull that one out of the bag, but we shall see. It's not really that important. I'm going to spend 6 in order to build a level 2 city. Now that that province is off the board, sure, I can afford to do that. So up, going to build a level 2 there. Going to move my counter up. And I will take, 2 influence, please. Then for my research, that only cost me 5, in fact, because of my traders.
Yeah.
And then for the next... my next act, craftsmanship, blah, 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 blah. There is that one. Oh, that's, nope. No red and purple's in the same. Nope, sadly not. What about trade? What can I do in trade that might be interesting? Not either. Okay. Probably want to do something. What could we do? I am actually high enough on trade to get something interesting. 10.
Well, you could.
You know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that I don't do super often, but it's always a good idea when you don't know what to do. I'm going to go up by 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend that 6 trade in order to go and get trade posts, which allows me to start my next stage with much more resources. Hopla. So 3 victory points. So I start each age with 5. Which is another 10 resources I'll get for free over the space of the game, which can make or break it.
Oh, yeah.
And even though I'm kind of doing some trade, which isn't particularly the Roman prerogative, that's the best option that I have at the moment. Sure. So that is the end of my turn.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here and so it's going to give you an advantage, but it's too good for me to pass up, really. So I'm going to get 2 craftsmanship from that. I'm going to get 1 art on top of the 1 that I get automatically at the beginning of my turn. I'm going to get 1 trade, and I'm going to get 4 science, which unfortunately maxes me out.
But there is a science spot now.
Yes. Oh, I get an additional art, sorry.
Oh, you do indeed, yep.
Okay, lovely. So I'm going to go straight in and build a science city on that spot to get another influence. And then I'm going to spend my 5 art to essentially do the same kind of thing that you did. So I'm going to... No, I picked the wrong... No, I didn't.
I'll start with art next turn.
So yeah, because it is a super useful thing to do. So philosophy, let's see if I can get a good match going. I can. Excellent. So I get 2 back for that. And I get another 3 victory points. Perfect. Put me up to 9.
Okay then. That was the end of your 5th turn.
Yep.
So honestly, for those who are wondering why we have 3 land tiles left, it's because we put 1 of the provinces down each. Yep. So that is the end of the age. So what would normally happen here is we would do any Age of End effects, multi mastery cards as per usual. Yep. Then we would have the influence phase where we'd assimilate abilities, gain victory points based on our influence. Yep. And then just generally prepare as per usual for Age 2. Yep. However, with provinces, we have another stage, because obviously there's not just 2 civilizations kicking around when provinces is in play. There are multiple, and they each come in at the end of an age. Yeah. So, as we are going into Age 2, we would take the Age 2 deck, if you would be as so kind as to bring it over. Of course, there are multiple cards. We give them a quick shuffle, and then we would flip over 2 new provinces. Now, you always bring into play as many provinces as there are players, irregardless of whether there was some left over from the other age or not. So if we'd have 1 or 2 provinces left, they would have stacked with these. So those negative effects can stack up if you want them to. Obviously, it's kind of like a collaborative player event, whether everybody does their bit or not. Right. Obviously, we're showing you how provinces work, so we just went straight in for the provinces. Yeah. It's not always the best option. It really depends on what you want to do.
These are mean as well, like the unconquered. So
all of a sudden, you can see that it's much tougher. 4 as a static value, then 5 rebellion cards. So just as an example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, right, so that would suck. That would suck if you drew that, because 13. That is... Yes,
13
total of 13.
Plus, unlucky 13. No. Plus, so that's 13
plus 4. 17. That's pretty hard for Age 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have different effects. You can generate all your resources. Make sure you're going to a war with enough weaponry, shall we say.
If you've got a decent machine going for the generation of your resources, that won't be too bad, because you'll be able to just continue to purchase conquest cards until you get it, but that's going to be expensive to do.
I mean, you had a risky play, but it paid off really well. Yeah. You know, you only had to spend 2. I had to spend 2 cards, so I spent 4 in order to get mine. But I had a lot more certainty in what I was doing, so that's okay. Yeah. I mean, the rewards are still pretty good. 5 victory points plus you may build a level 2 city. Yeah. So you immediately build a level 2 city. Right. So that's technically saving you 2 construction actions. So if you can play it off... if you can afford it, it can really pay off. Sure. Really pay off.
I mean, that's 10 victory points, 10 free resources, and 2 conquest cards. So, totally.
But once again, if these were the 2 first cards we'd drawn for that, it would have been 8 total. So you're going to be spending at least 6 to 8 resources on it. You'll get them back and some victory points, but there is always the uncertainty of... is this going to work or not? Sure, you know? Sure. But hey, it's always a risk. Yeah. Once again, one of us would be getting the spy card as a roll. You know, we do retribute rolls as per usual. Yeah. And so before conquering, we could have drawn those 5 cards and gone, oh boy, no, not this age. Yeah. And or we could have gone, oh, that's pretty tasty, and then let somebody walk straight into the trap. There's also that option there. Obviously, how you use your information is your business. So they also have their negative sides. If you don't conquer them, then they will have an effect on the board. Obviously, these are not great. However, this one, for example, the player with the most victory points loses 10. The players with the least lose 5. So if we're kind of in the situation where we are now, where I'm a good chunk ahead of you, you close the gap by 5 if you let that go through.
Yes. Yeah.
So even though we're both losing points, I'm losing more than you. Yeah. So maybe that's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's interesting.
I think it's also interesting depending on what order in the turn you are. So depending on the initiative order, you know that if you're the last player to play, you're likely to have all the players go, I'll let them take care of that.
And you just don't.
So,
I mean, you started setting up for a monument strategy with music and everything. Yeah. This, shall we say, punishment, this consequence rather, You lose 1 victory points per city level.
Yeah.
Now you can see my objective card is Roman.
Yeah.
You can see I'm going to be looking to build a lot of cities for my objectives, which also includes influence. I need a lot of influence, so cities are a great way to get that, and high level cities at that.
Yeah.
I also need to control at least 1 monument. Cities are a great way of controlling monuments. So I'm going to build cities. You, however, are probably going to use most of your construction actions to build monuments.
Yeah.
Makes sense? So I will probably lose a lot more points to that than you will.
Yeah.
So, it's still pretty dear. Also, you may have noticed this is one of these civilizations where, yes, they are very tough to conquer, or you can just pay them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once again, 10 resources in age 2 is a lot of resources.
Well, 10 resources is a lot, but like you said, you get the 5 victory points, plus you're technically saving 9 resources and 2 build actions for the free city that you get. It really does, Brit, I have to admit, I haven't actually played with this expansion a lot. I have tried it out a few times. What I find really interesting is kind of like the extra dimension that it brings to the game, which is the point, admittedly. But it's another thing to think about. And
as if there wasn't enough already.
As if there wasn't already enough. But I sort of, I do suffer a little bit from kid in a candy store kind of attitude to games like this. I'm like, ooh, and I'll just kind of bounce off of things and kind of lose sight of my strategy. But I do feel that this is the kind of expansion where you could be a little bit more opportunistic, perhaps, than the way that you would usually be looking to play Dominations, which is to have a fairly decent strategy from the start. If it's only the art strategy or the religion strategy, so it's definitely adds something along that way for me. And the whole little gambling thing of drum roll, please draw those cards. I kind of like that as well.
So those are age 2 cards. Obviously, there are age 3 cards which are even more mildly terrifying.
Yeah.
But we'll let you discover those on your own because I believe we have explained everything we needed to with provinces. So this was just 1 age. Obviously, this goes through the entire game. Yeah. There's no additional scoring involved.
No.
Depending on how many provinces you've conquered, all the effects are immediate. Yeah. So there's no extra section to the end of game scoring. So it's fairly simple in that respect as well. And you just play through your game, you get to the end of age 3, you do your final scoring as per usual, and then off we go.
So just as a quick recap, you are going to be conquering these provinces as the game continues. You can choose to either conquer them during your growth phase, so obviously taking the tile from here instead of one of your own. If you conquer a province, then you have to manage to beat its rebellion score.
Equal or beat its
rebellion score with your conquest score. Conquest cards can be bought with resources. If it all goes badly, which you can lose. So just to recap, so I find that's the only thing that's perhaps a little bit more complicated about this expansion is just what happens if you fail.
So it's very simple what happens. You have to not fail. Basically, you have to try not to fail. If you commit to a war, you have to win it, or you lose everything. Yeah. So if
define losing everything.
So you have to keep buying conquest cards until you have no resources left. So spending 2 or less, depending on your masteries, per card until you beat that score. Yeah. If you run out of resources and you still haven't beaten the score, you have to start spending influence points. 1 influence point for 1 conquest point, and then only then, if you run out of influence, do you actually lose and get nothing. But all of that is spent. Okay. So it's very punishing. Yeah. If you mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Admittedly, the game puts most things on your side to make it so that at worst it will simply cost you a lot. Yeah. But I think unless you get really unlucky, probably failing to conquer a province is fairly rare. Yeah. It's all going to be a matter of we won, but at what cost?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, like when you did your attack, you would have spent 4 resources maximum plus 1 influence point, so technically 7 resources, 7 knowledge rather, call it what it is. Not a huge loss. No. Yeah, you'll still feel that, but it's not a massive loss. Yeah. We've played test games with this where you went for a particularly, shall we say, courageous conquest because somebody wanted a reward before the other person could mobilize for it. Yeah. And that didn't particularly well. It worked out for them. They won, but they lost a lot of resources and influence points. But that is the risk with war. You never know how it's going to turn out unless you're well prepared for it, so to speak. Plus, we didn't want people just, saying, oh, I'll attack here, and then drawing 5 cards going, oh boy, that's not good. I'll withdraw, and then having no consequences. The idea is that once you are committed to war, you are committed to war. Yeah. And it's hell for leather. Okay, so that's all there is to it.
Well, that all makes sense to me. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, then please do go ahead and ask us. We've got the forums going on BGG at the moment, which we're doing our best to reply to. If you've been waiting for a few days for us to get back to you, sorry,
we're more or less on top of it, despite the volume. We're on top of it so far.
So yeah, that's pretty much how that works. I like the fact that the tiles bring extra resource possibilities to the game if perhaps your hand didn't give you what you wanted and you've already done your mulligan.
They also tell a little bit of a story, if I may interject. As you'll notice, they are a different colour, different background colour. It's kind of subtle, so it doesn't like jump out at you, but you can tell where the provinces you conquered are on your map as it grows, which I'm a fan of. So there you go.
Sure. So yeah, it's that slightly sort of like just sort of bare ground,
sandy
stone plus sand kind of thing, as opposed to sort of like the grassy background that we have in the regular tiles. So as I said, I'm always kind of disappointed that we're not carrying on playing. Actually, I had it all mapped out. I didn't.
Best laid plans and all that.
Best laid plans. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. As I said, if you have any questions, please do let us know. And enjoy your game of provinces if you're about to play. And if you haven't bought it yet, we hope that this has convinced you, or just given you a good idea that this simply adds too much complication to a game that is already completed enough. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll be back soon with more videos.
Have a nice day.
See you next time.